go over just a little bit of theory really quick. Now, arm locks from your guard, there are many, many ways of getting this properly. I've trained, every person I've ever trained with in Jiu-Jitsu over the last 20 years has a different variation on how they like to attack the arms off the bottom. Over time, I've realized that all of these arm locks work very effectively, but certain arm locks, work better when there's striking involved than others. And that's really what it's going to come down to. When you arm lock somebody, in Sport Jiu-Jitsu, all of these arm lock variations are going to be fine. But if I've got to worry about elbows and punches coming over the top, certain elbows I'm going to want to, or certain arm lock entries I'm going to want to avoid. Now the one that I avoid the most is ironically the first arm lock that I ever learned, and it's still one that's used a lot in Sport Jiu-Jitsu, and that's the cross grip. So in that one, I've got head control and I've got cross grip control on the elbow, right? It's very, very common. Can I borrow you, Tyler, just to demonstrate to these guys what I'm talking about? So this one is probably the first arm lock that you'll learn in most Jiu-Jitsu clubs. They're going to come through to here, they come here, they step, come up real high here, pivot to the front, and hit the arm, right? Very common. But here's the problem, we're going to switch over, right? So here's the issue with that, right? He goes and he attacks his arm in that same manner. I lock it here, and I'm locking the arm. Boom, boom, right? I can control that arm and pinch it down. And if I keep his hips like cradled and controlled, then I'm taking away a lot of his defense. Right? You'll see guys even in MMA where they'll just grab the wrist and pin it, right? Just to get a shot, or bring it right here behind and hit, right? I can kind of have that same effect here, right? If I'll even bait it, or I'll come in here and boom, boom, right? So I found that that was dangerous in MMA, especially if I bait people there, right? It doesn't mean that I can't pay the price there, but there might be a safer way of hitting the arm lock if I have to worry about strikes, okay? So let's just switch up again. So the first thing that I did is I went to a mirror hand grip. So instead of a cross grip, I'm doing a mirror hand grip, right? Same side grip. The reason why is that if I'm unhappy with how things are going, I can disengage and protect, right? If I start getting lit up with some big shots, I can at least disconnect from that arm and then go into a bit more of a defensive mode, right? Until I can get re-control over some of the shit that's going down, right? So what we're gonna do, right? And again, this is just the grip part. So I'm gonna come across and I'm gonna control the wrist now. So right, so as I was saying, like let's say I start going and he starts to hit, right? Boom, I'm just gonna disengage, right? And go back into my defensive game in the guard. So when I go, here's the thing. When I do this, the one thing that I have to be aware of is his elbow. Because if his elbow's off of me, I'm never gonna arm lock him. Every time I go to pivot, he's got that hip checked, right? So if I decide I'm gonna hit this arm, if he's not already stretched his arm out, like grab him behind my head or something, something stupid like this, right, which he's probably not gonna do, as I go, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna pull his elbow on top of my body. So now my hips are free to move, right? So if I'm here, I'll just go like this, just bump it, right? I might even like come here, like if he's got like left hand, I might even go like this. Just like that with this hand. I'm not even really worried about the wrist too much at this point. Exactly. So from here, just bump it up, step, this comes up really high, because I need to create an angle, right? Pump it through, and we're gonna hit from here. Now, clamp, and extend. Start small, then expand, right? I don't wanna be like this. Clamp down, and then expand from there. Okay? This is our first entry, super like Jiu-Jitsu 101, but we're gonna lift the elbow onto our chest or onto our body, controlling the posture, step into the hip, my right leg comes high on the back, pivot for my angle, pop the head through, and finish. Okay? Let's give it a shot. So this one, I've got head and arm control, but he steps up on a leg. Now, I don't have to wait for him to step up on this leg. I can dig for it, like get in there. But if he steps up on a leg, it should be like a trigger, right? Like something in your brain, it's like, oh, I can hook that leg now, okay? So this one, again, we're playing here. I'm always controlling that posture. I've always got his arm. He steps up on a leg. Boom, okay? So instead of stepping into the hip now, I'm gonna create my angle here, like so, okay? And then take the arm, okay? So what I'm doing, the other one, I created an angle by stepping into the hip, right? But let me tell you, anybody blue belt and above, as soon as you have a wrist control and you're stepping on the hip, there's not a single person in jiu-jitsu that doesn't know what's coming next. Now, they might not be able to stop it, but they know what's coming, which means that they have a better chance to stop it, right? So with this one, you get a little bit more of that sort of quick, like, oh, you'll see, like in the UFC, you see this setup a lot more because it's a little quicker, right? The guy steps up and just scoops and gets that arm, okay? So again, we're here, riding up, we're playing our game here, he steps up, boom, right here, boom, right here. Now I usually put him on his back here, just because now he's got a lot less that he can do to me. He can't slam me, right? He can't stretch up and try to take me off the mat, right? And I'm just gonna come back from there, okay? Let's do the same thing, but let's hook that arm, go as deep as you can. If I can have his leg up on my shoulder, then I know I've got it deep enough, right? Let's go for it, guys. And it's fast, so fast, in fact, that I call it the quick arm lock, all right? This is a no-tell, no bullshit arm lock, where I'm basically, it's a timing thing. Now, in order for you to be effective with this, you have to have good hips, right? Because what we're doing here is almost like a triangle choke, where you just throw your legs up and attack with the triangle. We're kind of throwing our legs up with the arm and spinning for the arm. So this one, right, I'm here, and I'm controlling through, and we're like this, right? And I'm gonna get as high as I can. Now, if I can get my shoulder, his shoulder pinched here, this is gonna be the easiest arm lock I get. So let's pretend it's not quite that nice. Life doesn't give me that many nice gifts, right? But right here, I control here, and then boom. It's that quick. So both my legs come up, and I shift just to clamp down on that head. It's a very small movement, and my angle's not great, but you're just gonna get better with drills, all right? So I come in here, right, we're doing our thing, boom, that quick. So what this is it's a big shove of the head and pull on the arm. Sorry, buddy. Right here. So there's no step, there's no grip, I'm just right here and boom. It's fast, like lightning fast. But it takes timing, and you have to understand how to kind of twist those hips to get around that head, and also to make sure you have the right angle to attack the arm. Because if I'm square to him, like if we're both at 12 o'clock on a clock, his arm's gonna be here, it's not gonna be effective. He's gonna escape perfectly, you're like, no problem. But if I get that angle, then he's gonna be in a very tough spot before he has a chance to even react to it. Okay? So this is called a quick arm lock. We're cutting out all the setups, all the steps, all the grips, and just go boom, right to the arm. All right? Let's try this for a couple times. We're not gonna spend a lot of time because the last one is the one I wanted to spend our most time on, and that's coming off of the overhook guard. All right, so those were our three kind of quick ones off the guard. Now, this next one I really like. It's for those of you that have trained with me for a while, we talk a little about, touch a little bit on rubber guard. Okay, now I like rubber guard. I think it's an effective guard. I don't think it's the be-all, end-all guard, obviously, because I think it has its limitations, just like all guards do. And one of those limitations, for me anyways, is flexibility, right? That's always an issue with rubber guard. And not just flexibility, but things like knee injuries and stuff like that. So for me to do rubber guard after having 2 knee surgeries is, it's just not gonna happen. I can't have that kind of pressure on the knee. And I know when you get the proper flexibility, it takes a lot of that pressure out, but I see people that are really good rubber guard guys that are still popping their own knees on a fairly regular basis. I've had a couple in here that have got tremendous flexibility, and they do rubber guard all the time. And yes, Sarah, a perfect example with Sarah, right? Sarah's got unbelievable flexibility in her hips and knees and legs, and she did rubber guard for years. And just one time, a guy postured up at the wrong time, and right, the knee went. So it has its limitations. I'm not saying don't do rubber guard. I'm just saying there are other guards too. And one of the guards that I like, it's like a halfway rubber guard position. Some people call it the Williams guard. There's one of Henzo's black belts, Sean Williams, has a real good game designed around this guard. I've always called it the overhook guard. Basically, I'm overhooking the shoulder and using my arms to control my leg. So unlike here, right, where guys are starting to come into these positions with the rubber guard, it's a much easier guard on the knee because I'm just coming here. And this leg stays relatively unpulled on and very little flexibility is needed. However, we have to create angles, okay, for this guard to be effective. So again, if I'm here, right, instead of the rubber guard, I'm going to set it up with a similar type of position, right? I'm going to come in through and get his hand to the floor. But as soon as we're here, I'm going to get to my hip. This comes around, and then I'm here, and I re-grip here. Now, if I want to be a dick here, I'm going to put a lot of pressure into this trap, sorry, whatever, right? I'm going to put a lot of pressure here. But really, the goal here is to kind of get to this grip here, the over grip right here, okay? Into this position. Now, as you can see, this has taken no flexibility for me at all, right? And then I got a whole game from here, right? If I was here, I could come through the triangle real easily, right? But in this case, he's driving back into me, and I'm gonna hook, and look where I am. Right here, boom, boom, and I've got the arm. Now I can take the arm, I can take his arm like so, right? His arm was actually so tight there I could barely even move with it without hurting, right? Pinch, and go back. So again, we're in here. I'm going to pummel his hands to the floor and then get to my hip here, like so. I like to bury that in here. Again, I can grip here and be real tight, but I'm just going to hook right here at the shoulder, right here. Okay? This is great for MMA. I can hit here. I can go for my triangle games here. We got lots of things. But this time he's driving into me. Hook and turn. Right here, look at like a ball still, right? Pinch, come back with the arm. Okay? What's really important here, guys, is that pivot. We've got to turn our hips out real far, real deep. But once it's in, man, that is as deep of an arm lock as you're ever going to hope for. All right? Let's give that a try. This is going to be a two-parter for you guys because one, the person on top has to react properly. And I know that sounds super cooperative in nature, but it's not. Because if he doesn't drive in, I'm going to triangle choke him. You know what I mean? But if the arm lock's there, that means that they're driving back in, which everybody's going to do. Nobody's going to let you guys get that deep on your hip because they know that the triangle choke is there. The omoplata is like screaming at you there, right? It's screaming. I mean, you can hit an omoplata effortlessly at any time at this point, right? The only thing is omoplatas generally suck for submissions, right? I mean, they do work, but like I said, you know, if you've had 2 submissions in the history of the UFC, that's not a high percentage submission. It's a good sweep, beautiful sweep. There's been 2 finishes, omoplata finishes in the entire history, in the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fights since 1993, 2 finishes, and both finishes came in within the last 2 years. So that means for over 20 years there wasn't a single omoplata finish in the UFC. So literally, I mean, that's a shittier percentage than a flying triangle is. Do you know what I mean? So again, when we get here, I'm going to pummel his arms to the floor and scoot out here and get right to my hip here, right? Now, if he stays out here, he's doing everybody, he's doing me, he couldn't do me a bigger favor. I can step through to the triangle at any time, right? I can push through the omoplata at any time, right? And then there's chokes here, there's all kinds of shit here, right? But we're here. Now, he's going to drive in, especially if I go boom, right? Right, exactly. Now, as he drives, look at where my hips are.
Okay.
Set a little bit. You feel there, and it's right there. But look at him. Look at where my hips are. What I'm seeing is this. Guys are only turning their hips a little bit. The guy flops over. Now, if that happens, like if I have a shitty turn on the hips, don't panic. You're still going to probably get a good sweep. And you're going to end up in a much better position. So let's say that I don't get quite enough of a turn to get the arm lock. Right, so we get to here, boom, I get to here. And then I go like this, and starts driving, and I only get to here. Right? I still might get the sweep, but there's no way I'm going to get the arm lock now. Right? Boom. Just use that, to get to a better position. Okay? but really turn the hips. This is all I want to see for the next 5 minutes. Don't worry about the finish. Just get to here. Get to here. Boom. I get to here. Drives in. Just to there. If I can get my leg over his head here, that means that my hips are turned enough. Okay? Don't worry about turning him over. Just if you can get your leg over his head from that position, you're deep enough. All right? Back at it.